Uber is getting married. I just went to a wedding. Yiska is currently cheating on his wife Overwatch with his mistress Counter-Strike. Love is in the air, guys, and it's not even February yet. Which means we've still got a long-ass time until the Overwatch League starts. And until anything Overwatch 2 related starts. But welcome to the new year. Welcome to 2022 and the first episode of the entire year.
Yeah. It's kind of fresh ground. 2022. It's a new start. I hate it already. Let's get it.
Yeah.
No, yes, some shit.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just kind of wrapping up to like the holidays. It's just like, yeah, it's just another day. It's like, hey, do you have any New Year's resolutions? It's like, no, because like, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, we're never gonna follow them. Like, we could just start today.
My New Year's resolution is to just always have a better year than the previous one, which you know,
exactly.
I think there's the entire world's New Year's resolution for 2022 compared to 2021, compared to 2020.
Yeah.
Which the entire world failed on compared to 2019, which was still one of the best years I've ever had. 2019, I still look upon fondly. One of my favorite years ever. Everything was going well. Things were going up. Things were moving along. It was great. And then everything past that, I'd rather forget. So
did you?
Somebody said 2020 the trilogy. It's like
2020 the trilogy.
It's just like the same year over and over and over, and nothing really has changed.
But the problem, Joe, is that trilogies, because they do so well, and the COVID trilogy has done so damn well.
It's true
That Hollywood are gonna greenlight a new trilogy afterwards.
They're gonna remake it. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, I've been opened up. My third eye has been.
2023, we're remaking 2020. So
please God.
Isn't 2020, wasn't that the Mayan calendar apocalypse?
That was 2012.
Is it? Okay, well
yeah.
I'm just
that
gonna
was the end of the Mayan calendar, and
I'm
we
just
were like,
gonna,
I don't know.
I'm just gonna rewrite that to the Aztec calendar then.
I think they were just a couple years off.
Did they switch the numbers in the end?
I think so. I think they just, flubbed a few, didn't carry the digits, and I can't blame them. It was an ancient civilization. I think they were pretty spot on.
And let's be real, 2020, the apocalypse happened. We got a global pandemic, and believe you me, humanity, we did try and end our civilization. We did try very hard. We're still trying currently to this day to maybe wipe our species out. But I don't know, man. We're like rats. Like humans just can't. We just don't die. I mean, 1% of us are dying to COVID all the time. But we know as much as we try and increase that percentage, we're actually kind of failing. We suck at like doing the thing that we're supposed to do, which is go extinct in this apocalypse. We're like really bad at it for some reason.
But like, didn't it feel like 2021 was better than 2020 already? It felt like
that's true.
Okay, this is a feeling of just like a frog
having
the temperature turned up on him, like we would just sort of like got used to whatever pandemic was. I felt like we had less lockdowns, certainly in Germany, because we figured that stuff out. I don't really feel that inhibited. As sad as it sounds, I almost feel like I'm back to almost normal. There's some inconveniences here and there, but I don't know. Like, maybe that's also just my lifestyle, let's be honest.
2022, the year going back to normal, right? Hopefully.
Are we
there yet? We back to normal yet? We'll find out. We'll see if whatever new variant pops up again, as an infinite amount of variants will be popping up until the end of time, I'm sure. So in 100 years from now, we'll be up to variant number 1000 or whatever. And
at
that stage, people won't even remember. Like, man, how did this thing start again? I don't know. So
it is weird to think about, like, and I know this is kind of cliche, but like living through a piece of history that like maybe like are going to be written in like digital textbooks at some point, being like, oh, remember the great COVID pandemic of 2020 to 2020X, like.
Yeah. There's been two of those already. What we haven't had is a world war, but we did have 9/11, and now we got COVID.
True. Yeah.
I feel like in our lifetimes, at least if you're old enough to remember. So if you're not old enough to remember, maybe it doesn't count for you. But anyone old enough to remember 9/11, and then obviously you're old enough to remember COVID. It's like that's two global life-changing events.
Yeah. Everything will change. Like after 9/11, like art changed legitimately. Everything changed. Discourse changed. And I think that's very much true again. Like not everything has to be necessarily negative. Like I think, for instance, birth rates being up during COVID is like one thing that we could mention as like something that, depending on where you stand, is probably positive. And I don't know, like, but that will definitely be a huge topic, even post-pandemic. Like, what actually changed in the fabric of how we live our lives, and how we, like, what kind of media is created, what kind of information we consume, how we live, down to the structures of the living spaces we're in and whatnot. Like, the impact can almost not be overstated, right? And
of course.
We'll see you in it's every 20 years, man. So I'll see you in the next 20 years, in 20 years time from now, when the ice caps melt. And we're all flooded with water. And the whole world is however many degrees hotter. Speaking of things that are happening in 20 years, probably when we find out the rosters for this year. Because if you were here last episode, which I know you definitely were, you would have heard me say that by now we've passed the roster, what is it, submission deadline? Is that what it is? Where you have to have 5 players on your team. And I was very excited, like, oh, today we get to talk about all the rosters now. We get to finally see all the rosters. Nope, you don't get to see any of that. We know nothing because, the teams have to officially submit, but that doesn't mean they have to tell everyone. So they haven't told people yet, and we're still waiting. We still don't know anything about the rosters that haven't said anything yet, really. So really, I think I'm just talking about Philly and New York at this stage. Those damn East Coast cities. At least Boston knows what they're doing. Props to Boston. You guys got your shit together. But those other 2 East Coast cities, I'm not happy about it.
Yeah. Oh well. I don't know. I feel like, with the exception of Philly, and even there, we know a bit, right?
Yeah, put 2 and 2 together, folks. Come on.
Yeah, it is. I feel like we know 95% of everything that's going to happen, and
think?
I think so. No?
Maybe.
We know all of New York.
What Yiska's trying to say is that he knows, but the rest of us don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure what is even out there, to be fair. But
of course, yeah.
Now he's changed direction.
I feel like Philly's always...
He did a quick 180. He just did a U-turn, and we're right back where he came from.
I feel like Philly's always good for like a surprise or two, and it's gonna be an interesting one. That's definitely one of the teams that I'm like, and I guess selfishly, I'm just like really gunning for Carpe and being like, all right, bro, if you're ever gonna do it, now's the time. It's a new game. It's a fresh time. It's time to, strap in and become the DPS we always expected you to be with this new team. It's they're gonna be like a fun team to kind of like track, because it's kind of a, is it fair to say a last hurrah for him? Like, if he doesn't get it done with Philly,
do you think he's gone after this or something?
I don't know if he's gone from like the game, but like, can Philly, like, do you keep him still? I don't know.
It depends on how he keeps up, right? Like, he hasn't kept
exactly.
that too. Like, season 4 was rough, I feel like, on Carpe.
Yeah,
like, was probably as rough as season 2. So
it's not good.
There's just so much talent now in his role. Like, he's not like this outstanding player that just claps fools, right?
I think a lot of teams have like good DPS players, so it's, I don't know. It's not season 1 anymore, bro. You don't have like 11 other teams that has some dead weight on them. It's like you can definitely name good players on most teams now. So even Paris have Glister. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, like, even the quote unquote weaker teams have somebody you're like, all right, this guy's kind of doing something over here. Vancouver have got people now. It's like, you can't just be season 1 Carpe anymore. We'll see how he goes. But the rest of Philly still have a lot of plays to announce. Man, you know what? One position that Philly definitely got to be now. I was going to say off tank, but really it's just a tank position now. That old tank position, Philly. I do wonder. Who could it be?
Boy, howdy! Isn't that just a thinker? Any thinkers in chat?
Who could that be? Was it someone recently departed from the other team? I don't know, man.
And just hasn't really found a home, huh?
No idea.
Strange.
No idea who could be on Philly at this stage. No idea. Let's talk about some players in a second that we do know about. I say players, it's actually only like one of them. So player, and then let's talk about some of the coaching staff changes that have been announced recently as well. And that's basically all the roster movements. And then we're going to go into some more Family Feud with Joe over here. And that might legitimately be it today. Like, you know, this time I'm actually not lying when I say there's going to be a short one, just because, I mean, I expected there to be roster announcements, but there just hasn't been, I guess, like, and not, I mean, it's a new year. Nothing else has really changed massively. We got a Chinese Overwatch All-Star show match coming up. I'll probably watch that and stream that, but it'll just be a little bit of fun. It'll be 6v6 as well. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there? At least someone's putting on content, you know, props to the Chinese teams for doing that. Without further ado, guys, let's head into it. Episode 208. Let's get down and dirty. This episode brought to you by our lovely patrons: Battle Crab, Refined Bean, Bronzebot, Bruhal, Chare, Prophet Picasso, Chris R34444, Kasha67, Lolshin, Porkchop Sammy, Rick Sane, Volamel, Smooth Nuts, and Your Misery. And first thing we're going to get into is the roster moves, or the roster move, just the singular roster move. Coldest joining Valiant. I don't think we talked about. I think we skipped it last week because it was like we're like, oh yeah, it's just one move. We'll wait till there's more to talk about. But that more again hasn't happened. So Coldest of Valiant, Mika not announced. Don't know what Mika's doing. The Coldest is at Valiant, and he's getting another shot. My guy got done dirty by the Spark, and he's getting another shot now with the Valiant.
Yep. The more they sign, the more I like. It's gonna be a weird year of beating the drum for the Valiant, but they don't look bad, man. They don't look bad.
Yeah.
Didn't we have this discussion?
Man, props to packing. Huh?
Didn't we have this discussion that like Valiant was going to be mid in APAC? Or possibly
I still don't know if they're going to be mid. I don't think they're going to be above mid. I still think they're going to be bottom half. Definitely. I just have low expectations. I just have low expectations because I cannot have high expectations for this team.
I get it.
Which, you know, sounds like an illogical thing. Like, oh yeah, I'm just
it's the most
being
logical.
unreasonable about it. But I don't know, man. I look at the team and I still think you need more firepower. And they have now what? They have confirmed Dia, Innovation, Becky, Coldest. Who was there a rumored player as well? Was there a rumored support maybe that I forgot about? Or
possibly,
or what?
But I don't recall anybody off the top of my head.
I think Wuyel is supposed to also be a player.
Yeah.
So that's their tank. They now have 3 DPS, 1 tank supposedly, and 1 support. Was maybe Wuya rumored to be coming back. That was going to be a fun one. Wuyel and Wuya. Don't know if he's going to be coming back. But I don't know if that's a rumor or not. But
Kind of just feels like it comes down to whatever.
even
Philly
then, that's 2 flex supports.
does. Just like if New York just shows up and is like a goofball roster, plus like a decent player who's, I think, orbited the team for a little bit now. Yeah, I don't know.
But Joe, what about Coldest?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is just like if New York kind of flubs their off season, it's a decent chance that like this Valiant squad like genuinely does all right. Like maybe is mid. Maybe let's say Charge and Spark both shit the bed. New York flubs the off season and they just don't land anybody, which obviously isn't the case.
Because like I think Coldest deserves a second chance, but
easily.
I don't know if he's like you know, I don't know if he's exciting enough for anyone to kind of be like, oh man, oh that. I mean, it's definitely more exciting than what we got last year.
Yeah.
That's 100%. So can't take that away. But the bar was set pretty low last year, so like most things are more exciting than last year.
Oh, without a doubt.
So I mean, Coldest is a decent upgrade. However, we assume he's a decent upgrade. He didn't really get much playtime on the Spark
at all.
To be fair, he was benched behind the Koreans, and to be fair, MCD from a playing perspective was a good player. So, you know, I don't blame the Spark for their decision making, but at the same time, I feel like Coldest has been like, his name's been there for so long as like, yeah, this guy's like the Chinese Jonag. He's the Chinese, you know, flex support player you got to be talking about.
Yeah.
But we just never got that. We never got to see that. And now he's got a shot to do something with it, but it is on the Valiant and it is in a new game.
Yep.
It is behind, you know, a solid coach who is leading a team of kind of misfits that really don't have any expectations. It feels like every power ranking season, everybody's like, yo, could you please rate us low so that we like have this like sense of hunger. We don't want to have these expectations set high. And I know that's kind of a meme, but I do wonder how much truth there is to like this underdog mentality. There's no expectations. We come out, we play kind of loose in a way, and we don't have like this overbearing like weight over our shoulders. And I feel like that could be Valiant's MO for the most part. I feel like they could do some damage to some teams. Again, I don't think they're world beaters. I don't think they're going to be winning a series.
They got to win one match. They win one match, they're already better than last year.
Yeah. And I think that puts you on such a high that I think you can do a lot with that. I was
gonna say they just got to win a map, but you know, Valiant did win maps.
They did win a couple maps, yeah.
Certain fan bases know what I'm talking about. So we're beyond maps now, but we're definitely into the matches.
Yep.
Where, yeah, I mean, like, I think they're good enough to win a game.
Yeah, this roster is
so
very
a game being a full best of 5 match. I think they're capable of doing that.
Yep.
Especially if, like you said, like if NYXL don't come up to the batting plate, or if Philly's team looks average, or I mean, and those are the harder teams, I imagine, because you still got Flora plus rumored Yaki. You're more likely to be beating the Guangzhou Charge or Hangzhou Spark. Yeah. If they're not up to, you know, they're not going to be batting properly. Hangzhou Spark actually look pretty stacked on a player perspective. Just like from an org perspective, we're kind of let down because it's I don't know. They had a good team last year as well. They couldn't fully capitalize on. Charge are an interesting team because I feel like they've improved the roster, but at the same time, is it improved enough? I don't know if they've. At least they got all the coaches to start with, and you know they don't have. Ideally, they don't have that whole coaching debacle again, although that applies to Spark as well. So Valiant, I think their 2 top targets are the Charge and the Spark, and that's who they're going to try and beat. And I think at some point, they should be able to beat at least one of them one time.
Yep.
At least one time, you know, I'll give them that. Set the bar low for them and just see what happens.
I mean, we're talking about a new game, but we don't even know like what kind of format we're playing, to be honest, right? Like there's a lot just left up in the air. Like, do we get monthly hero pools back? Are hero pools back at all? We don't know. Is there some hero new pools, crazy lottery to play?
If you need hero pools for a fresh game, you failed.
Yeah, this is a botched experiment.
What you need. Hero pools existed because the game was stale. If your game is stale and it's a new game, you have failed. Like I said, that's a failure. So no, you can't have hero pools. I'm gonna rip my hair out if hero pools are announced, because what does that even mean? Like, have you decided that you failed before the game even exists? Is that what's happening? Like, oh, yeah, we don't even know what the game is, but we just decided it failed. You know, is that what it is? Like,
or we're just trying to stem the you know, any kind of staleness. You know, we want to make sure we get ahead of the curve and make sure that, you know, no kind of rigid metagame ever comes out.
Yeah, we all know that's standard practice across all esports. We do know that, yeah. Because every esport has that problem, apparently.
Yeah.
Including esports that have 0 updates in their game, like Counter-Strike. The hero pools in Counter-Strike. Don't get me started, guys.
Oh no, there's no ops this week. Shucks. What are we gonna do?
Crazy when you have esports that don't treat the esport like a WWE. Actually treat it like a sport. Crazy when you have a fan base that actually does that instead. But wow, imagine having a fan base that like actually think, man, this is actually a real competition. Instead of treating it like an anime. Any case, anyway.
You guys gotta make me sad,
no hero pulls. No hero pulls. Yiska, we're just talking about your mistress right now.
Right.
And I'd say she's young, but she's really not. Counter-Strike's old as fuck, actually. So, but she's stable. Look, she's stable. I'll give you that. On the crazy meter, right? On the crazy meter, I'd say she's like this is the most calm. This is the most calm mistress you could have. This is Counter-Strike is not going to key your car or light your clothing on fire, Yiska. So good job there.
Nice.
Well done.
Overwatch might slash your tires though, is what I'm saying. But Counter-Strike won't.
Oh, it definitely. I mean, Overwatch makes me not be able to afford tires more like than not because, contrary to popular belief, I'm not a crypto millionaire. So,
you're a crypto billionaire. That's right.
That's right. There you go.
No, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's always, I think it's just like a natural development in accordance with your demographic of your game, right?
So, anyway, Valiant. You guys are mid on Valiant. I'm probably still low on them.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't see them being good enough to beat the real mid-table teams. If we assume that APAC looks like Shanghai, Seoul, Chengdu is your top teams, New York, Philly is your middle teams, and Valiant, Charge, Spark is your bottom teams. Even though we really don't even know what New York and Philly look like, if we only look at it from a rumor-based perspective, and it's like Yaki and Kellan and Myongbong, and then Philly's got Carpe M3 Zest, mystery off-tank player, and I don't actually know who the fifth is, so that one escapes me. But
Philly's going wide, right? Like they're signing some players.
I mean, it's not impossible for them to build a really rough kind of team and then get played upon by Valiant, who are really going to be punching up. By Valiant, I can see them punching up big time. So it is possible that they beat one of New York or Philly, but even then, assuming they also beat Charge and Spark, that puts them, 5th place out of 8? Because you have to be better than New York to be at least 4th, right? True, to be behind Seoul and Chengdu. And let's be honest, there's actual lightning happening outside my house right now. Let's be honest. They're not. That's the Charge getting angry at me, I think. Let's be honest. The Valiant are probably not beating Seoul Dynasty, Chengdu, or Shanghai on paper.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Seoul's
even though,
a tough ask.
I guess we're going to talk about it, but not too high on Chengdu next season.
You're not too high on them. Let's stick to the roster for now. Why don't we even just add a new topic? We're gonna sneakily add a new topic that wasn't even planned. Chengdu. Why aren't you big on Chengdu?
I think
don't talk about their coaches yet. Don't talk about their coaches yet.
I mean, okay, then we can't talk about Chengdu.
Okay, well, announcement. Ray has stepped down from head coach of Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah.
And he's in an advisory role.
Honorary advisory.
What does that even? I mean, what does that even? When you add honorary in front of whatever the title is, I feel like that always doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just like we really appreciated you. So if you ever want to do anything and or come back, the door is open.
It's like when they retired Jake's jersey. You know, that's just honorary. Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything. So what? I'm pretty sure he's gone. I'm pretty sure he's gone. Otherwise, he would have just been maybe an assistant coach. I don't even know. I think he has a kid coming up.
Yep.
He needs to look after his family.
Yep.
We've had situations in the past with Ray kind of being in and out of the team for personal reasons before.
Yep.
So this is not a new thing. Every second year you have him and you don't have him. So it's one of those things is it a even year, okay, well, you don't get raised. An odd year, okay, you get Ray back again. So I guess we'll see you in 2023, my guy. But every year that you haven't had this guy, it's been rough for Chengdu. But is that the ultimate difference maker? Like, now that Chengdu have a good framework and a decent team built up from last year, can they still just find success off the work done from last year? Like, is losing Ray going to be the real make or break? Yiska, you were going to talk about it a little bit?
Yes, it will. I think that's a major contributing factor. Also, I feel like we have to call a spade and say they were very fortunate with how the meta fell last year, right? No? I think, like...
in a way.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily given that, like, all those heroes just work for them, even though they also made it work, and a bunch was being able to be played. I still think we can conclusively say that, like, the Shanghai or Chengdu, like, comp variations were probably the strongest across the season in comparison to everything else. That's not a given, especially in a new game. I think in a new game, I want someone is highly creative and smart about the game as Ray. I think there's also a lack of replacements, and we don't know the replacement yet, as far as I know.
For head coach, not to my knowledge. I know they signed J Fuel as an assistant.
Right, but...
So there is somebody coming in. You talk about Shanghai.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of Shanghai now on the team.
Yeah, but... I mean... It's hard to say, right, to evaluate there. But yeah, I think this is my ultra nuclear hopium for Valiant. But I don't think it's a given that Valiant will finish below Chengdu next year. Yeah. And by the way, I don't think we will see 8 teams in APAC, and I'm not 100% on that or like reporting on any leaks, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of the North American teams made it back to NA, right?
Let's contextualize something. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Yeah.
Really loud.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to talk about the charge again, and they knew I was going to talk about... No, I'm not going to talk about the charge right now. Let's contextualize something. You mentioned that it is possible for Valiant to be better than Chengdu, which I think is a pretty extreme take, but I'll humor you. That you saying that, I think, doesn't mean that you believe Valiant will be like 3rd in APAC.
No,
that means you think Hunters will be quite a bit further down and within striking distance of Valiant, and then Valiant will still be a mid team by beating Chengdu, who might be a worse team, in the middle of the pack rather than a top team.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I still think player wise, assuming they do promote a Pritter, assuming like I don't know, Yveltal gets his shit together again, they still have Leave.
Pound for pound, that's hard to argue.
Leave can still carry the fuck out of this team, especially if it's 5v5 with a DPS meta. When I say DPS meta, I mean like a DPS favored game, which I'm pretty sure 5v5 Overwatch will be in Overwatch 2. So when you got a heavy hitter like that on your team, I mean, it's only one guy, but
yes, that's the problem. You got one guy when
but it worked.
Everyone else you're competing against has 2 guys now.
Well, Valiant don't have any guys.
Valiant barely
has
a guy.
How many guys does Valiant have?
I would argue, I mean, not the guy, but I would say I don't think they have a worse DPS line than Chengdu.
They have a what now?
They don't have a worse DPS line than Chengdu.
I think Leave's better than the whole DPS line combined.
Is he going to play 2 DPS characters at the same time? If he's capable of that, I will give you that. Jinmu not hitting his...
I'm gonna also say that Leave is also better than his entire DPS line combined as well.
Right, but my point is like, if Chengdu doesn't hit like... Jinmu doesn't hit like his heroes, I think he'll have a hard time. The other DPS are legitimately absolute dead weight.
Yes, agreed. I don't think you're going to find anybody who is going to argue otherwise. I think the context here is surrounding what happens with a Pritta. If a Pritta gets moved up, then what you just said is I
agree.
Egg beating, helmet wearing, shit take everybody in the bunker.
I agree. I don't... If it hasn't happened until now, what are we waiting for?
Agreed. It is bizarre. Why also hasn't New York announced their roster? Why are we waiting? I don't know.
I swear to God, if this is, and 100% have no inside knowledge. But if this is once again like 5 Chinese teams telling me a Predator wasn't good in trials and this kid is going to sit out of the season, I am going fucking insane. Man. And I hope you get curb stomped by Dia next season for your fucking stupidity and hubris in thinking that you know better who to select than the guy that is curb stomping everyone in contenders. That is not how it works. You fucking suck. It's unreal.
I'm glad you said whatever. Yeah, at least I was thinking.
Yeah.
Can we repeat that again for me and like was summarized?
Okay, summarized is if a Predator is not being picked up because Chinese teams don't think he's good based on trials.
Yeah.
Same story as Dia. I am flipping my shit.
Are you burger flipping your shit?
I think that can't happen. Because your shit's been permanently flipped. No, I think a Predator can't. I think they can't happen that a Predator doesn't get picked up.
It can't. Right?
I thought the same thing about Dia.
It surely can't happen.
Yeah, I know.
That's different. Dia wasn't on He wasn't on the Chengdu Academy team. He wasn't on Team Chaser.
No.
Dia, he was on Team CC, the Dragons Academy team, and there was no way he was going to get promoted to Dragons, and then everybody else just trialed other people. And you know, you might say, well, that's got no relevancy because he's could have still joined Chengdu, and I'll give you that. But I think when you got a Predator on Team Chaser, which is the Chengdu Academy team, it's easy just to move the players in between the two teams.
Sure, but if at the same time they apparently got like retirement contracts for Jimmy and Taro Cookie over like 2 centuries, where they can like live as lich beings still on the same contract. Like,
can I get one of those? I want to live as a lich being.
Yeah, bro. I want a phylactery. Hell yeah, that's fine.
I'll be a lich.
It's unreal. Like generational wealth created for these 2 guys, just like playing Tarkov for some shit. But like I don't know what is going on there. Like surely there has to be made room. Like yes. It isn't going to be a papaya take if a Predator's going in, and then I don't think like even like bad coaching
I don't think anybody would hold you to that.
Yeah. Even though I could totally see like a backline of Chengdu falling apart without the coaching of Ray being there.
Totally.
Also, like I'm not sure how I feel about inserting like a coach that isn't a native speaker. Maybe he picked up a bunch on Shanghai could totally be the case, even though at the same time, why would he?
Oh, it's an assistant. You don't need to be like a huge mouthpiece. I guess it depends on how the logistics are run in the front office, but maybe it's just a strategic role. I don't know.
You know what's funny? It's not funny, but you know what would be interesting about this whole thing is if Chengdu didn't hate No Hill, he would have been the perfect replacement.
Yeah, it would have been I think the replacement. Yeah.
Like the most well-regarded like head coach brain that's not called Ray in China, but also the most like the worst regarded one as well for other reasons. For non-game related reasons, he's also the worst regarded. So
yeah,
he's winning in both categories.
Alternatively, if Noel could shut his mouth, he could have also had a team that gave him more resources than whatever he's trying to do now and having to make the rounds and hopefully reviving his career. What do you mean?
What do you mean? Like what, IGC are going to give him more resources? He's lucky to get the resources.
No. He has to prove he can do it with IGC in order for anyone to possibly consider giving him a second chance, right?
I don't think anyone doubts his ability. The teams that he has beef with have beef with him for reasons beyond his ability as a coach.
Right.
I don't think he doesn't need to prove shit. I don't think he needs to prove anything as a coach. It's the other problems that they don't like.
Yeah.
That don't get proven through your results in coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I won't comment on like how China handles those situations, but I think if you like that situation looks very different if Valiant makes it like top 3 and like I think that meant a lot of like being very good at something makes people forget about your awfulness real
what you're
quick.
What you're saying. Well, let's. I'm not gonna call it. I don't even.
Yeah. No, okay,
I don't know the full story, so
no,
we're not going to say awfulness.
Yeah. I mean, like, generally, right? Like
unless you're on Chengdu's payroll, then call it what you want. But like if you're not on Chengdu's payroll, let's just be a little bit more neutral about it.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you're basically saying that like if you're too good to pass up, then a team might just be like, well, we'll just take him then, you know?
Yeah, let's get the marketing firm and like wash that out of like the public discourse, and we got ourselves a star coach here. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's sad that Ray is missing, because like this guy has always been such a fresh injection into. Like I know like Chengdu doesn't like that narrative for some reason.
What?
But legitimately, like the impact that Ray has had on this league is fucking insane. Like on Overwatch as a whole, right? Like lifting up China seemingly by himself as like this powerhouse of a region, in many ways, with miraculous youngsters, putting them on the map. Then like in season 2, going your own way and teaching like the Overwatch League that you can, something that now everyone believes in when nobody did back in the day, and we had like pretty public talks about it. And now, like, having one of the legitimately best teams in Season 4, out of a roster that, once again, had pretty big limitations, no less on an MVP that he himself raised since this kid was, like, 15, right? Like, it's legitimately can't be understated how big his impact is on Overwatch as a whole, right?
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
Easily one of my favorite, and I think my favorite coach to date. And somebody that you can point to and say, this is somebody who has tangible impact, who has enough history and has enough like pedigree and repeated instances of this pattern that you can kind of tell that he is doing things. You can tell when Ray's in a team and when he isn't in a team. It's very obvious that his impact is very high. And it's sad to see him go.
I also know that he's like a great leader on the team in terms of, you know, keeping the soldiers in line. Where, I mean, we got a little bit of insight with the whole Yveltal situation, but he obviously has no issues leading the charge and being like, okay,
he's no punk.
This player,
he don't play no games.
He's leader. He doesn't get pushed around by his players.
No.
We know that for sure.
Yeah.
And he'll, you know, I mean, the guy is willing to air his dirty laundry with his own players out into the public. That's fucking crazy to me. I still don't know. I still don't personally think that's the right call to make, but the fact that he's willing to do that means he doesn't fuck around.
Yeah.
Is what I get out of it.
There's a respect and transparency. And didn't he do that like in playoffs? It was just like, no, he's just not playing.
Post playoffs. That was post playoffs. Where after they lost, basically he publicly like released information about that.
Right.
I mean, you even hear the stories back in the day when like Silk Thread was going to join Chengdu at a certain point in time, and he was saying that like he didn't quite mesh with the team's culture around practice. If you read between the lines, he's basically talking about the coaches being pretty. What's the right word for it? I mean, which maybe strict would be a good word for it.
Yeah.
Basically, like, you know, the coaching style and the expectations for the players on a team like Chengdu are pretty high in terms of hours you were putting in and effort you were putting in. And, you know, obviously a head coach is going to be at the forefront of leading that charge. So talking about Ray again. Yeah, like, I mean, all evidence I've ever seen of the guy. I mean, I'm the first person to say, and I've said this for a long time, that a lot of coaches, we don't know what the fuck they do. It's hard to rate coaches in the league. There's probably a little bit more insight on Ray than a lot of coaches out there, and the insight that I do have all point towards him being like a real leader on his team, and so that's going to be a big piece of the puzzle gone.
Yeah,
it's also like, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm also sick and like operating on very low sleep. Has Leave ever worked with a coach that wasn't named Ray?
So his coach on PUBG, no, you mean Overwatch? So in Overwatch, no, I think he's literally only worked with Ray.
Wait, wasn't there something in season 3?
Oh no, sorry. When Ray
you're right.
started,
Yeah. Season
technically speaking, when Ray wasn't on Chengdu, that would have been the one time. Yeah.
Also,
so you're right.
Probably the season where Leaf looked probably the least impressive of his career, right?
I mean, I feel like there's probably more reasonable.
Sure. He came back from PUBG and everything like that. Like, certainly also a reason, yes,
But yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, I just don't know if that's the leading cause. But like in that same sense, I do like there is a lot of questions surrounding this team now. It's just like, what is this backline gonna end up doing? Like, is this new head coach going to be able to kind of instill the authority that it seems like this team maybe needs?
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to, not pull punches and just be able to like handle these kids when, shit acts up?
Yeah.
How is this new front office going to integrate now that you have two languages operating? Like, there's a lot of questions here that, I think logistically this isn't like a charged spark situation, but like I'm coming around to the idea that maybe they underperform to what their roster could do.
I think Jay feels capable, but I don't know that he fills the shoes of Ray in either literal sense, being that he's not the head coach, and also like a more figurative sense in terms of like what his more intangibles he brings to the team is. Because I'm sure like a guy with his background where, he's been on Chengdu the whole time, he's won with London, he's won with Shanghai. This is like a 2-time champion of the league now. Out of 4 years, he's won 2 trophies in the Overwatch League. He's actually pretty accomplished. People that probably don't even talk about J Field too much. Like I bet a lot of people still don't even really know him. But I'm pretty sure like his track record speaks for himself. So
yeah,
I think on a strategic sense and on a like capability sense, that's there. But Ray's leadership quality, I don't know. I don't know who fills that, and if anyone can fill that.
It's tough. I think you have to respect as a player. You have to imagine that you have to respect like trophies, right? You have to. But I don't know if anybody, to your point, Avril, is always if anybody is going to kind of supersede the respect that like somebody from your homegrown region that came up, built a lot of synergy with the players that are still there today, or some of the players that are still there today. I don't know if that level of respect is ever going to be repaired, and there is some cause for concern. To Yiska's point.
I mean, you have to also, if we're gonna be dropping Chengdu down because Ray's gonna be gone, I think because that's been Yiska's thread so far in terms of his line of thinking, then I mean, don't you have to drop a lot of teams down in some ways? Like, are we all that happy with Sparks' coaching lineup? Are we that happy with Charles'
not at all.
lineup? Are we happy
not
with New York's coaching lineup? Like, have New York even changed the coaching lineup? I don't think they have.
Depends.
Philly have they've lost everybody. I don't know. They've completely changed. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
I like Toby, but I have to even admit that's still a question mark. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. So, hey, Yiska, I think that means LA Valiant's the second best team after Shanghai. Then
no, but like I think if there is a season for a small under-budgeted team, but that is tight, and where the market is so like almost oversaturated with great players, it is this coming one where like an under like this is where like a packing situation from like season 3 Valiant could have legitimately led to like a top 3 finish or something like that, where you can really pull damage just because there's so much volatility, and if you can stick through it like as a unit, and also have the ingenuity of people that really like can come up with strategy as it develops and can be quicker to that. And of course, let's not beat around the bush. Have the luck that you require in order to hit the meta that your players like are more adapted to playing. Then you can do a lot of damage in the next season, I think.
All right, Yiska, gun to head, alien death ray scenario.
Right.
Is the Los Angeles Valiant going to be featured in a stage playoff final? They don't have to win. They just have to be in the finals.
The final
of a stage.
The literal best 2 team final.
Just of a stage.
Just a final, or like make playoffs type of thing?
Literally just a stage final.
Okay, so this is a trick question because the answer is no.
Because you have to be the top 2 team. Like, what are you going to be one of the top 2 teams, man? What the?
I mean, you could be like, okay, based on like our past year, like format. I think there would be theoretically a possibility that they sneak in once.
Okay.
But I don't think it will happen next year.
They don't make the final, even if they sneak in. They don't make the final.
No,
so it's a no.
No, they would maybe make it a regional final or whatever, or for seeding, or I don't know.
Yeah, they might if we just copy paste the same format from last year. There is a world I got the telescope out. There is a small chance that Valiant are the 4th seed playing against the 1st seed for a regional spot to go into.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever, Hawaii, the quote unquote Hawaii thing, based on last year. If we just copy and paste last year, right? That I can see happening as an off chance. There's zero chance they make a final. They don't make it. You already have to be. You assume the top 4 teams in the world at that stage to make a final. You got to be the top 2, right? Because it's a double even bracket as well. Again, we're copying the same format. If assuming we do, or at least for this example, we are. Then there's zero chance Valiant make a final. No way.
No, not at
You're not top 2 in the world.
No, not at world final for sure. I don't think that's realistic. But I will say,
I don't even think they got Hawaii personally. But that's me.
I will say it is a hot take, but I don't think they will be the last team. I give this a really low probability. I think for me, most likely it's probably 5th in APAC. And if I want to have a hot take, I think 4th is reasonable.
Damn.
5th means they got to beat at least one of New York or Philly,
right?
Or Chengdu if you think Chengdu are really going to be bad.
Yes.
I don't subscribe to that just yet, because if we're putting a lot of stock on coaches, I think everybody's made a coaching change that is potentially questionable in some way. Outside of Shanghai, who I'll just give Moon the benefit of the doubt. We don't talk about Shanghai in that context because we just assume they're going to be good. Everybody's made a sideways or lower change in their coaching staff following that. Okay. So, how far can Chengdu really fall? They're going to fall harder than Spark with Chang'un? Come on, you got to be joking. You can't be twisting my leg that hard. You're going to fall harder than what? Philly losing 9K and Moby Dick? Come on, where are we going with this? Philly's a bigger loss? Dire. What's a bigger loss? Losing both 9K and Moby Dick or losing Ray? What's bigger loss? They're both pretty fucking big. Yeah. So you got to apply that same equation to every team if you want to make that argument.
And Philly just doesn't have, at least from the things that are semi-public, they just don't have the same punching power. It's like carpe or leave. I know where my bread's butter.
I'm not saying Jin and Chara don't have what it takes, but I mean,
sure, of course.
Moby Dick is one of the most well-regarded coaches in the whole league. All 20 teams.
Yep.
And that's 1 out of 2 coaches. You lost 2. You lost 9K as well. So I mean, come on, guys. It's what did New York didn't even change their coaching staff, and their team had decent talent, and they just couldn't get off the ground at all. So do you put any of the blame on the coaching staff? Because if you do, you got to be feeling a little bit rough that they didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Okay, did they get rid of IMTs at one? Well, that's not even a coach. That's the analyst. They didn't even. Has Why not been their head coach the whole time? Has he? So has Why not's been the head coach the whole time? So I mean, can't be giving other teams a free pass on this shit.
True. I mean, definitely. I think for outside of Philly, and I'm kind of blanking on who is leading Seoul last year, but these are some
Chang'un was leading Seoul.
Yeah, I could take that. I think that's fair. There are some sizable coaches that have left, but I think to Yiska's point, it's more of just the gravitas of losing Ray, of losing 9K, of losing Moby Dick. Those are severely going to impact these rosters.
So my point ends up being my overall point ends up being if we're shifting Chengdu down, then I'm shifting everybody down.
Yeah, of course.
If I'm shifting everybody down, then no one gets shifted down. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
I think it's some teams. I don't think it's everybody personally, but that's just me.
I'm not shifting anybody up. Who are you shifting up?
I'm not shifting everybody up, but I think
I'll shift Valiant up, but everybody. I'll go even with Seoul, and I'll say there'll be this. I'll just give Chobi the benefit of the doubt. I'll say they'll be at least the same, which based on Chang'u's track record, shouldn't be too hard to at least do. That's a pretty low bar. Chang'u went to Spark.
Sure.
On paper, probably a shift down. Charge, I'll give Sungwoo the benefit of the doubt because he was there only a part of the year last year, and Extra did the other part, and they did struggles. But maybe with the full year and no staff issues, they might be do something, but I'll still only give them what they got last year. So that to me is not an upgrade. So the only team that literally upgraded is the LA Valiant. Everybody else downgraded. And again, and I don't count Shanghai. So if the other 7 teams, if everybody else downgraded, then how the fuck does Chengdu fall that far down the rankings? No, everyone equally falls down the rankings together, and Chengdu's still ahead.
Could it just be more of like a parity-based region where like just everybody's mega competitive and you just drop silly games every once in a while? Like I feel like that's a little bit more.
And it's a new game.
Possibility.
It's a new game. You know, in a new game, anything can happen. And yeah, you absolutely could be dropping some silly games. It would require a team to overperform, and a better team, quote unquote, better team to underperform, which can definitely happen. Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see LA Valiant punching above their weight, and I can see teams like Chengdu losing, because by fun fact, one of the teams that did lose a map to Valiant last year was Chengdu.
Yeah.
So Chengdu have some high highs and some low lows. I mean, they were one of only 2 teams to lose to Valiant, but at the same time, Chengdu were one of the only teams to actually legitimately beat Shanghai. It was a 3-0 as well. Yeah. So their highs are really high, and their lows are, I'm not going to say super. They didn't lose to the Valiant, but they were they're low enough to at least lose a map.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
silly. Could be silly.
It might just be a must see region. APAC's looking mighty spicy. Primetime Overwatch.
New York can legitimately beat Shanghai, but then also legitimately lose to the Charge.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what we're packing up for.
People can just randomly lose games like that.
Yeah, it's getting to that point, especially in a new game, like you said. Like, we really don't know what we're walking into, so even with our Overwatch one lenses on, yeah, it looks competitive. And now add on top of on top of that, now you have all these variables and all kinds of different possibilities. Like, APAC looks real wonky.
That's the beauty of it, though. Right now, I could just go, I actually think Valiant is going to be the best team in APAC. And then when it doesn't happen, I just say, Overwatch 2. Who could know, man? Like, couldn't have predicted that one. Was too wild.
Like, coaching aside, player quality, look, you can only do so much as a coach to try and improve your players.
Of course, yeah.
But whenever I've talked to coaches, and when I really dig deep into the league and like what makes for a good team, at the end of the day, if you just have some of the best players, I mean, it's hard to lose. And I think we've had this discussion before, but like, guns ahead, like, would you rather have a team with stacked players or stacked coaches? And I pick stacked players 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I really got to pick one in terms of what's going to give me the better chance of winning, it's always stacked players.
Yeah.
Because you can only improve bad players so much as a coach.
Yes.
If they're bad, they're bad. There's nothing you can do.
But ideally, you would both.
Of course.
And that's called Shanghai. But
yes, super team.
I mean, I've talked to coaches where it's just like, dude, Shanghai just have 6 out of 6 superstars. What do you do?
Yeah.
Like, their roster is just better. Like, they have 6 out of 6 superstars who are just like the best in their roles, and it's just like it's impossible to beat them. And like, my point relating back to the Valiant is they just don't have that player quality. I think D is good, but let's be careful about people overrating him as well. He's good, but he's not like generational. This guy is not like the next Leave or some shit. He's not even. I don't even think D is going to be as good as Shy, and that's not a knock against Dia. That's me saying Shy's fucking amazing.
Yeah, no.
D is going to be good, but he's not going to single-handedly turn around the shit.
He's not going to be an MVP candidate, right?
No, there's not going to be a role star. He's not going to be an MVP candidate. He's going to be a very serviceable player. That's going to be a big improvement for the Valiant, but he's not even going to be better than Carpe. And I'm probably underrating Carpe a little bit there.
I think he will be.
Oh, like, you're underrating Carpe even more than I am then, but...
Carpe is a below average DPS in the Overwatch League.
By the way, you're assuming Carpe will even play... M3 will play.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, there's no names on Valiant, including the rumored players.
Yeah.
That like blow me away. Nothing.
I think here's my thing. I'm not thinking about these players as in their 2021 version. I'm thinking of them as in their Team CC version, right?
Sure.
And in that, I mean, because they're recombining in some aspect once again, right?
Yeah.
Like
what? 2 people? Just 2 people?
Bro, how did Yaki look in season 3 and shit? My man was benched by Kareev, man.
Kareev was good in season 2. Don't shame Kareev back then. Kareev was legit.
Right. But then he reunited with Moon eventually. And now he's one of the best, if not the best, flex supporter of the year.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Kareev reunited with Moon first.
True. Did indeed.
Oh, yeah.
On the Valiant.
Yeah.
On the Valiant. Wait, didn't Izuyaki? Yeah, Izuyaki also played with Moon on the Valiant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I just like, you have an entire Valiant or a full team of serviceable players, and that's it.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be like a packing award. They're gonna have to become way more than the sum of their parts if they're really gonna like swing above their weight, because you're punching at like Leave and a Prita possibly, right? You're punching at the Sparks DPS lineup. Yes, logistically they fumble all the balls all the time, but what if they don't, right?
Now,
like it's tough.
Now here's the nuclear option. Okay, you ready?
Okay, sure.
So
I tried to give you a nuclear option, but you didn't take that one. Okay, so I'm interested to see what you cooking up.
So nobody's currently signing a Prita. Shit's weird, right? So like someone at the IGC office just like cleans the sofa, you know, like has the vacuum out, and what do you know? There's 50K right under the sofa cushion. Goddamn, what do we do? I guess we could give it to a Prita.
No, you can't. Valiant already have 3 DPSs.
Yeah.
They already have 3 DPSs.
Bro, one of them can be a coach.
You mean whatever?
One of them can be a coach, no problem. And by the way, you probably signed them on like one month cancellation because you're the Valiant. So goodbye, sucker. Like
if they wanted a Prita, they should have not. By the way, it's not just 50K. You have to pay his buyout too.
Agreed.
I mean, if nobody's buying him because nobody's
just
interested,
a
then
cushions, you know,
Valiant
break the piggy bank.
They didn't even want to pay Thor's buyout last year, and Thor's buyout was pitiful, and they didn't even want to pay that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the purchase situation is, but like
maybe they're talking to the Toronto, you know, they're talking to Toronto Defiant, you know, they're talking books, and they're like, hey, you know, we got all this money to spend. Let's spend it.
I don't even know.
Overwatch is hype, guys.
Did Valiant even pay any buyout for any of their players this year?
Probably not.
Because
I don't think they paid for Coldest.
Actually, I actually think Coldest might be the one they did pay for, because Innovation was already off CC. CC boom, the team disbanded. So I'm going to assume. Well, I don't know contractually, because your team could disband, but
still
Shanghai could still own Innovation's contract for the duration, because his contract might go until the end of the year, right? So you can disband, but if Innovation gets picked up, you still have to pay Shanghai for the fee.
Yeah.
It was teamless. You don't pay for him. Becky was on a team, but I don't know. You probably did have to pay for that, because contenders teams do hold on to contenders player contracts solely to sell them to Overwatch League rosters.
Right.
Coldest, I have to assume Spark would have kept his contract. Oh, did they?
Eric's saying he's a true free agent. Contract expired.
Well, okay, so they didn't pay for Coldest, but I think they may have had to pay for Innovation and Becky.
It's possible, yeah.
And Wuhao, unless. So this is the really fucked up part. If Wuhao technically retires and only joins as a coach, then no, I don't think you pay his buyout. But if you get him as a player and contract him as a player, which is what he's rumored to be, then I do think you have to pay Shanghai for his buyout, because he was on CC.
Depending, of course.
Oh, it depends on how long his contract goes, right?
Correct.
Oh. Because, like, if, let's say his contender's contract ended in, like, February, then you sign him as a coach, then they lose the rights, and then you pay him, like, start his Overwatch League contract as a player.
But if that's the case, why isn't everybody doing that, though? You know what I mean? Like, oh, we'll just sign you as a coach, and then your contract's up, and then we just move you as a player.
Presumably, because they have longer contracts, and a guy like Julia probably wouldn't have contracts as long, right?
Sure, yeah. That's fair.
I don't know how.
I don't know which of the contenders players were true free agents. And the reason why I'm skeptical of any of them being true free agents is because if you're a smart contenders team, you don't you hold those contracts. You don't make them free agents because you just lose money.
Yep.
Right.
The team might disband, but the contract may still be in effect for X amount of months or days past disbandment date, which would.
Well, it's more like your contract goes until hypothetically December 31st, 2021.
Right.
Hypothetically, your team might have disbanded in like November.
Yeah.
But your contract still goes until December 31st, hypothetically, which means if someone picks you up in that period, boom, done.
Team A gets paid.
You gotta pay that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's certainly possible that they genuinely had to pay a buyout. Now, are they paying Chengdu's buyout for Aprita? That's some couch diving. That's some task rabbiting. You're gonna.
We don't even have to go that far. They have three. They shouldn't have picked up Becky then.
Yeah.
What the fuck they pick up Becky? If you want to get Aprita, you don't get Becky. That's just straight up. You don't even do that. Like they already have 3 DPSs. They committed.
Only if that option just presented itself very late, Yeah. Whatever.
Oh, so back to Chengdu, because we somehow went from Chengdu to LA Valiant to back to Chengdu. I think Aprita still goes to Chengdu because he's not going anywhere else. Because Spark have 4 DPSs, Charge of 3 DPSs, including a hit scan that they replace Kaylee with, which is developed, so they don't need Aprita. They don't even need a Tracer because Troy's going to play Tracer again. Chengdu is the only team that really needs Aprita, and I say that even though they have 4 DPSs, because their DPSs aren't good enough in the heroes that Aprita brings to the table. So Chengdu actually need him, which means they're the only team I think that are capable of picking up this guy, and he's more than good enough to be a valuable pickup. So there's no questions. There's no questions in my mind surrounding his ability. Like if you pick up Monk, you got to pick up Aprita because that was like a duo in contenders. Monk and Aprita were the hard carries of
Flag.
Was it Flag? Yeah, I was going to say I can't remember that, but Flag Gaming. Yeah, you got to get this guy for sure. So yeah, I don't see a world where Chengdu don't pick up Aprita unless they're really dumb. But even then, I guess you just have another year of Leave and Jinmu, unless it's double hit scan, in which place Jimmy Leave. But I don't know if I hate it. I value Leave pretty highly. Like this is still one massive heavy hitter against teams that might not even have one. Like
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we will see. I mean, I think people rate Yaki really highly, but I don't. I think Yaki's like a good player, but not unbelievable. People still saying, "Oh, but Yaki had the best trick." No, he fucking didn't. He did not. Statistically, that's true, and eye test, that's true.
Yeah, so, I would agree. He's good, but and I know people are gonna take this out of context and weaponize it and be like, "Oh well, he hasn't had good teammates. He had checkmate on main tank."
Leave has never had good teammates.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
Right? Like Yaki, I think is a good player. Is fantastically good, but is not like a world-beating DPS. He just isn't.
He is very overrated by the community. And the reason I can say that, the people that are reasonable will probably think I'm talking shit because in their mind they have rated him correctly, and then I'm saying he's overrated. Like, what are you talking about? But understand the people I'm referring to are the people out there in the community that are saying Yaki's like one of the best in the world. And the people right now that do think that and just heard me call Yaki overrated, they're getting angry right now because they think they've rated Yaki so unbelievably high.
To be fair,
when
a lot of coaches and stuff and players after season 3 told me Yaki's one of the best players in the world.
Well, why don't they put their money where their mouths are?
Didn't see that last year. Sorry,
what didn't they tell me? I think they said that he's the best Genji in the world, and it's not close. This is what I heard from 2 different teams.
I guess. Sick. There's Genji. His far as good as Tracer is good.
High resource Genjis, when it comes to that, better than Haksal is what people said, which is right, guys. That's a nuclear hot take, but apparently that's something that just was universally decided, by everyone in practice rooms was like, this kid's nutty. Yeah, but then again, it's season 3, right? There's another entire season of Overwatch played since then. and it
I
wouldn't be
mean,
the first
I don't think
superstar to drop.
I don't think Yaki was as good as Sparkle even in that season. And by the way, Yaki also wasn't as good as Sparkle in contenders. So I don't know. In my mind, Yaki's always been the worst Sparkle his entire career. His entire career, he's played second fiddle to Sparkle in his ability. That's my take. Sorry, that's
I agree.
what I think is true.
I was just like, I even recall in one instance, and I'm not sure if it was on camera or not, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I specifically asked one person, like, do you actually think like he was better than Sparkle? And he's like, yeah, my entire team thought so as well. And
agree to disagree. I think that's a cap personally, but agree to disagree.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he's overrated.
I had this take, and then I woke up to like Yaki being nuts for a brief moment, because I do think as Genji was nutty in that season, like hard carry Genjis. But then again, like last year was, of course, like pretty.
By the way, I'm gonna contextualize this because people like, I don't know, people are really binary in their way of thinking. They'll probably think if I say that Yaki's underrated, that probably means I think he's awful. I don't think that. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's the best.
Yeah, I thought like I always thought Yaki was a tier 1.5 player.
Yep. All I'm saying is that people talk about Yaki like he's a fucking 10. I'm just saying he's more like a 7. That's what I'm saying, or an 8 if you want to be.
Yeah, I think
that's fair.
Whereas like I think people like, oh, Avril said Yaki was overrated. That means he thinks he's a -5. Oh, no, shut the fuck up.
Is Yaki better
I'm just
than
saying
Decay?
I'm just saying he's not a fucking 10. That's all I'm saying.
Is Yaki better than Decay? Ooh. That's a tough one. And that already speaks volumes.
Are we already playing Joe's game, by the way?
Maybe. Gun to head.
Let's go.
But I kind of want to hear what Avril thinks about this. Is Yaki better than Decay?
That's going to be one of the questions. Let's go. Game show music start. We're playing Deal or No Deal with Joe. Deal or no deal. Was Yaki better than Decay? Deal or no deal?
Is that to me?
Yeah, Joe, get off the fence.
Everyone.
Is Yaki better than Decay?
If you put a gun to my head, alien death ray scenario, the fate of the world, I want Yaki.
Oh. Okay.
And this is rose tinted glasses too. Like I always thought he had a lot of potential. I agree. Solid 8 player. Somebody who is like The Rock. I don't need him to be a superstar. He can have superstar moments. That's great. Fantastic. Love that. Is a playmaker. I love that too. Yeah, I would agree. Kind of very similar to Sparkle in that same way, but that's kind of somebody who I look for, and somebody that seems to how to say this diplomatically, somebody who has seen success continuously throughout most of their career, barring any form of interpersonal conflict. Let's say Yaki would be my answer. Regis. Rest in peace.
Avril, get off the fence. Who's better, Yaki or Decay?
Right now I take Yaki. I think so, because there he is. All you haters out there. No, you thought I was going to say Decay, huh? You thought I was going to say Decay.
I switched it up.
No, I think Decay disappointed last year, even more than way more than Yaki, obviously. So if I'm going to apply that formula and that kind of standard, and I got to play by my own rules, right? So by that, Decay did worse, and Decay declined hardcore for me. He's like really plummeted down the rankings in my opinion. Like, yeah, he was good on. His best hero last year was Reaper or something. You know, like Jesus Christ, Decay. Like what happened? You know, we can say like, oh, you know, he was held back by his team. It was like, yeah, well, we can say the same thing about Yaki. We literally just did. Yaki still shined. Like he didn't shine as hard as some other players did. Like he didn't, you know,
definitely didn't hard carry, but
he hard carried, but you know, he's not fucking Leaf. But then again, that's maybe unfair because like no one's really his Leaf at the end of the day. We'll see next year, but we'll see this year. But you know, right now I take Yaki instead of Decay for sure.
Okay, so just to offer up a different opinion, I think I would take it Decay. And I think it's an underrating of his last. Like looking at the stats, and of course they're not going to be great, but he was fucking insane, dude. Like he was definitely a top 3 tracer statistically.
Sure.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Statistically, just like
when did Washington even play Tracer? I don't even remember them playing Tracer at all. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like his game time on Tracer must have been really low, and that skews your statistics by a lot.
Might be the case, but like if you aggregate all heroes over the season, I think he had one of the highest kills per 10. Maybe you can Eric to back me up here. Maybe I'm chatting shit, but I think he was like.
Which season? This season?
This season, yeah. Yeah, I think he's generally like the thing is here's the thing. Here's the caveat. Okay, now I'm bringing it back around. If I just can get Decay on server and I don't have to deal with anything else, I'm picking Decay. Now I'm not aware of Yaki ever having had issues. Now I'm not saying Decay made issues last year. I'm just like running the probabilities, right? Like I've heard nothing of Yaki causing issues. I've heard a lot of Decay causing issues from people inside the Overwatch League in previous seasons. So on that chance, I'd like if I had to build a team, I'd rather have Yaki. If I can just like say who is better, then I would say Decay, but probably that comes at a or not probably, but maybe at a discounted point as Eric brings up the statistics. Let me resize. I'm gonna fill you in real quick.
That's not Stats Lab. What is that?
I thought he was going to pull out friend of the show Fish Ghost, but he betrayed him. So let's see. So what are we looking at here? So Decay and Yaki comparison. Tracer. Okay, the win rate is of course heavily in favor for Decay. Makes sense. Yeah. But also like eliminations is heavily in favor of Decay, maybe to be expected. Solo kills heavily up for Yaki, right? Like big time. Dudes, oh my god, this is some flatter level shit, by the way. Like comparatively speaking. Deaths, of course, like this high risk, high reward, but also like losing a ton, so you would expect more deaths for Yaki. Yeah, final blows per 10. That's basically the stat. Like, could you add like profit and leave to that selection? Because I don't think like Decay was terrible in comparison. Okay. I mean, if you want, you can also do like okay. Add and Kefsa, whatever. Yeah, okay. Boom. And let's see now. So, yeah, now Yaki's actually pretty nutty in solo kills. Holy. Elims. Yeah, Decay is not bad, right? Like in comparison. I think it shifted a little bit towards the end of the season, of course, but like. He's hanging with Flatter, hanging theoretically with Kefsta and whatnot. Yaki definitely behind, but that's more to the. I mean, in conclusion, like as IBM Watson told us, it's a lot bound to the win rate of your team for sure. But like if you look at kills per 10, like Decay is up there with Kefsta and I mean significantly behind Leaf, yes. But like higher on solo kills than Leaf, for instance.
What is his playtime? I'm trying to find out playtime myself. I'm trying to find out where that information is.
7.5 hours, yeah. More than Yaki, as much as Leaf, as much as Profit, but less than Flutter and Kefsta for Tracer.
I legitimately can't even remember games where he played Tracer.
Now, keep in mind as well, like, Decay lost also significant amount more than Fleda and Kefsta did, right? Like, I think the comparison to Leaf is probably the fairest because of the sort of equal win rates and sort of equal playtime. And their Leaf is, I mean, obviously a better Tracer, but also more risky Tracer, I would say. So, yeah. Otherwise, like, Decay has significantly less deaths. Like, I mean, 1 kill, final blow per 10 less is also considerable, which might have to do with the team. But yeah, like, again, like, this is just statistics, right? Like, without, devoid of all context. So take that with the largest, like, grain of salt you can find. But, like, he didn't have a terrible season for sure.
Yeah, I just felt like he was limiting. Like he didn't have a great hero pool. I'm basing a lot of Decay on the later part of the season as we got through. I mean, the early parts, I think Washington still had a 4-0 to start with. Is that correct? I think they had a 4-0 start in May Melee.
Yes.
They had some okay wins, and stuff got to, start to really fall apart towards the end, I think. And the reason why I think of Washington as more of like a non-Tracer team is because they played so much like Rush or like Rush styled comps, the zombie comp as well. That's why I'm like, Decay just played all this Reaper, because when Washington shifted so hard into that style of gameplay, I'm like, all I see Decay is play Reaper now. So kind of forget that he even was on Tracer, because it was kind of them farming. Who did they even beat in the early part of the season? I mean, regular season, here we go, May Melee. They played who again? Washington came in second week and played against Dallas. That was 3-1 versus Dallas. You might say that's pretty good. They beat Vancouver, which was easy. And then they beat Boston, expected. And they beat Toronto, to be fair. Toronto didn't start getting good until later. So, yeah, Washington kind of peaked in May Melee, and then that's where that's where they play the most Tracer. That's where they play the most dive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Contextually, I think Decay did better in that part of the year, but I look at it more like, well, what direction did we go, and how do we end the season rather than how we started? And I think Decay ended it pretty weak. Although, to be fair, Mayhem, you could say the same thing about Mayhem. They started strong with 3-1. They even went to Hawaii, and then they ended really weak because they didn't even make playoffs, right? So, I guess both apply. Yeah. I just had a better feeling about Yaki, personally.
Yeah, it's hard to contextualize how people play based on their team. Like, I think the worst part always, like, it's DPS sort of works. Tank is just obnoxious to rate people on, which is like, that was like one of the biggest arguments I had to make for like Fate best of Overwatch 1 tank, because like he had a shit season 2, right? Let's be honest, like that was not a good season, just based on like how the team did. And if your team sucks, then you have a problem as a main tank, right?
Of course, especially in season 2.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Yaki Decay before we skedaddle?
I think we settled that one.
Okay.
We all said all peace.
Let's go.
Fence sitters, we have united today. I gather you here today to collectively form opinions and have nuclear hot takes, as Yiska has so rightfully done. And you know what? We're going to start with him. Yiska.
Yes.
We're going blast from the past. We're going into the history books. Peace Camper asks you, lovely friend of the show, is Kaiser the most important player to never make the Overwatch League? Get off the fence. The most important player.
I mean, he is important to the history of the Overwatch League for sure. Like, hitting a fat shatter, of course, is like his claim to fame for sure. Kaiser. But the question is, like, it feels like there are other ones that come to mind. Are there any other ones that are obvious? I mean, it also depends on how do you define importance, right? Like, theoretically speaking, like, I saw a pretty salient comment on, like, what if the Overwatch 2 was going to change drastically and someone like speedily falls off? like hard.
Sure.
Right, that would suck. And then you have like an incredible player not being able to join the Overwatch League ever.
Okay.
Well, that would be for next year.
It feels like, let's be honest, Kaiser was only ever in APAC Season 2 probably like good enough to have been like legitimately claimed to be one of the best players ever. Sorry, at the time. And after that, I think like teams were probably right to never pick him up. Just too limited in the hero pool he had. Still like historically relevant, always like sort of around everything, but I feel like we're missing like an obvious name that never made it. And that is probably like equal amounts. Like it has most likely some Korean player that comes to mind. Like theoretically speaking, could you say Eska?
Oh, I was gonna give you negative points for not mentioning Eska, but that was just for the memes.
Right. Like it depends on all importance, like, right? Like
sure. Are you looking at like skill over kind of like relevance, you know, historically? Yeah, I understand where your head's at.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'm
trying to think of somebody who you like hated, but I can't think of anybody outside of Nuss. And he made the Overwatch League, so
yeah,
he won a title too.
Yeah. Do you have anyone in mind, Avril?
Lee Tae-jun.
Oh,
just all the lunatic eye boys.
I went there.
Tae-jun and Owl.
Maybe like Waka Waka. Like maybe like else was
I feel like if we got if Waka Waka made Overwatch League, then we would have got Lux Eterna or Turnia. That article that Raleigh Jaffa wrote.
What are the rules here? Are we specifically talking about a player that is available and willing to play but got snubbed, or are we talking about like any player that just wasn't there? Because then you could
up to your interpretation.
Because the thing is, like, speedily, you almost doesn't count because he's not old enough.
Yeah.
So we can't talk about him.
Yeah.
But
sure, I would say somebody who is capable, like available to play in the Overwatch League.
I was almost going to say Internet Hulk, but then he passed away, right? So beforehand,
Yeah.
so that doesn't. But then, like, you know, that doesn't quite fit.
He wouldn't have been a player by that time either way. Like he was already coaching in League of Legends, right? He probably would have been a coach.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but like him as an Overwatch coach, that could be like how you interpret.
Say so.
That question.
Then it doesn't like fit the rules of like, you know, we're talking about if it's a person that was willing and able but just didn't get picked. If that's the rule, then
there's a part of me that wants to say runner.
I don't know.
But...
no, I think runner fell off, dude.
Of course he did. He was bad by season 2.
He literally benched himself.
Yeah.
No, because then you could be like, oh, about Tailspin, but it's like, no, but this is like players from like so long ago, you know, that it's just like not even.
Is there someone from Going Water S? That could.
Is there?
I don't know.
The fact that it's taking me so long means it probably is Kaiser. It's just taking too long.
Yeah.
I mean, even you're like, yo, there's probably someone that comes to mind.
I feel like Eska's already a better answer, to be honest. I feel like Eska is probably already like likely to be a better answer than Kaiser. Even though he didn't want, like, if he says like, yes, person that kept playing and just wasn't picked up, then that's probably true. I was thinking about a couple of names that were like that, right? Like Luke Mino is one I brought up in the past, even though that's not, like, I would say that Kaiser's more there.
Yeah, you have to, yeah.
You could probably talk about some of the guys from Reunited if you wanted to, right? I don't know, like.
So let me tell you about Valutaja, right?
Yes. The Church of Valutaja.
Yeah, honestly, it's got to be Kaiser. I can't think of a better name.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I'm really racking my brain, really thinking hard, and
it's a big name.
Definitely none are coming up. None are coming up. So
right. Kaiser.
It's probably got to be Kaiser. Is there possibly anyone else? I'm just like,
I mean,
if someone comes to your mind later,
I'm thinking about someone that got snubbed. I'm specifically looking at people that have just not had the chance to. Well, they have, again, willing and able people that just didn't get picked. No, I don't. I can't think of one.
All right. We'll head over to Camp AVRL. We'll stay with Peace Camper's question. Or another question that he.
I got a better answer.
Oh. Okay, what's the answer?
Recry.
Why? What?
I mean, Recry was not like significantly worse than you guys got to think back on like Recry when Overwatch League dropped, right? And like he was like Sire player level in terms of soldier, right? Of course, like in the end, but he sucked later on. Hoon.
That's a blast from the past.
Yeah, like
I rated his diva. His diva improved, but
yeah, I mean, he
might have had a
like very
spot.
known for Zarya, of course.
I mean, that kid got all the resources, to be fair.
Yeah, but like important is different. Like he wasn't really important to the game of Overwatch, right? Like he was pretty good, but never really like that sick. I feel like, I mean, does 1J Lee count even though he made it? Like,
then immediately quit to go play. I'm still interested to see what he's doing in League. If he's,
I have the answer. I got the answer for you.
Okay.
Zoms.
Oh shit!
You love that? Do you love that answer?
Yeah, that's.
Oh man,
that's a 550k wristwatch answer.
That's a couple death threats answer.
Oh, what?
I don't know if there's an entire country that's too pleased with Psalms.
Very true.
That country's not pleased about a lot of things.
True.
I don't know.
That's the wasn't that everybody though? I don't know. Anyways,
what's the next question? Question?
Anyways, AVRL from Peace Camper, get off the fence. Which Paris rookie impressed you last year the most?
Khan. That's it. Done. Next question.
Okay. Yiska?
No, I mean, who else could it be? I mean, you could say maybe Dreedro or somebody, but I think the player that had the biggest impact and that was like the most quantifiable impact that you could see all the time. Like, wow, look at that.
They specifically asked between Khan or Don.
Oh, really? Because
I didn't even have Don on my list. I was Khan or Dreedro for me, but I guess Khan then.
Yeah.
Wait, was okay. It depends on what impressed means. If it's like in comparison to, their former, like just unexpected, I guess.
Your interpretation.
Yeah, surprised. Was Naga was a rookie as well, right? I didn't see that kid popping off like he did, but was he signed before?
Yeah, he was a rookie.
Yeah. But yeah, Khan is definitely like the right answer in most contexts there.
Okay. Quick, painless. Back to Yiska. Get off the fence, good sir.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from I think last year's top prediction performer RD11490.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me if that's not the name you'd like to use. That's just the name you submitted in Discord. So to Yiska, get off the fence. Assuming you have to keep the league system, should the Overwatch League expand, contract, or stay the same? Is there enough talent to support more teams? And will the current business model force teams to drop out?
Okay, so I mean, oh my god, there's a ton to think about. Like just like the interdependencies of everything is
Would you
nuts.
say that this is a can of worms?
Yes. It's
Get off
a
the
giant,
fence. Is this a can of
this
worms?
is-
Deal or
this
no
is a
deal?
Pandora's
Is this a
box,
can
actually.
of worms?
Because like, okay, here's where my mind is at, right? I think you want generally more coverage in order for that location-based stuff to make any sense whatsoever.
Sure.
Like, I feel like Europe is generally underserved. Like, I mean, for the vast majority of or for most continents, we don't even have a team. I think South Korea, in terms of like how big it is in esports, is definitely underserved with just one team. At the same time, I think like all that's being given, I think we're probably 5 too many franchises in like sustainability. Don't think you can really derive as much profit from the regional markets as to sustain whatever. Like if we were to say like all the sponsorship remains the exact same as it is right now in terms of like the Overwatch League, we're still getting the same size of the contract with YouTube and everything. If we have 5 franchises less, therefore like increasing sponsorship per team, I think we're oversaturated there. I'm not too. That's my problem. Like, I'm too unaware of like American markets to say if we, for instance, have like an oversaturation in the tri-state area or whatever, and if people would be able to just like get behind whatever team would be New York, if they could also like, you know, be with everyone in that part of the US. But then at the same time, like, would I even want to have it be a league thing in terms of, I assume you need to stay franchise, but do I maybe want tournaments? Do I want to get rid of localizations? Do I want, because by the way, this was almost like a can of worms that I opened earlier. It's like, it is very interesting to see that the CDL is having the same issues that we're having with like not enough developer support. The homestand model probably not working as well. Even of course, due to the pandemic, we never really had a true proof of concept. But like them also having low viewership and everything, I think there's an underlying issue there, which we would need to fix first, and then almost everything else is less relevant. It's like a second order, third order effect. So yeah, I mean, I'm just like tapping on the topics I have to consider here, like the travel and whatnot. Like if I could be, I would do that in a way that it is more similar to the LCS model, where I have both regions in one location, and I'm hosting regional tournaments there, like, and only introduce audiences as it is possible currently during a pandemic and stuff like this, right? So I don't think that really answers the question. It just like tries to expand just the sheer complexity of like what you would have to consider. So I'm sorry, but like, I don't have a satisfying answer, just like off hip.
Wow.
Right, Avril, do you want to answer the question?
Only
teasing. It is a can of worms. It's hard.
Optimistically, we should expand. Optimistically, that's one of those real kind of basic bitch answers. Like, well, I'm just not going to consider other things. I'm just going to say let's expand. But I think there's enough player talent, and there will be even more player talent with the new game and everything. But I'm not a fan of the fact that one of my criticisms of the way the league works. First and foremost, I don't mind a league format. I think a league-based format is good and can work and is fun and is stable and has a lot of advantages. So I don't mind a league format. What I am not a huge fan of is how homogenous it is in terms of, well, the first 2 years was all in LA. It feels like an NA league. It doesn't actually feel like a global league to me. It didn't until, funny enough, COVID almost forced it to. To which you could probably argue that, like, even without COVID, we were going to do real homestands and all that kind of stuff and have some home and away games, and we would have gone to Asia and Seoul, we're going to do a homestand, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. But what we ended up getting because of COVID is regional gameplay. And I think Well, I already knew that regional gameplay was the way to go, but I'm a big fan of regional gameplay. I think that's the correct way to go. I think the Riot system with their regional leagues is awesome. Right? LCS, LEC, LCK, LPL. I've just named the 4 main ones, but I mean, LPL is, I think, the biggest esports league in the entire world. Because you don't want to just lump all of League of Legends into one, like, here's your League of Legends league, League of Legends league. That's not how it works. You do have to look at them individually, and they treat them individually. They look at their leagues as their own self-contained thing. They have their own sponsors, their own management, their own talent, their own everything. They do things their own way. Some of them even have like slightly different formats. Some of them play only best of ones. Other ones play best of threes, and their playoffs are not necessarily all exactly the same as well. I mean, they're allowed to function a little bit more autonomously, and I think that's cool because you do have to also do the things that make sense for your region. And for example, LCS, the reason why they play best of ones is because I think I'm going to paraphrase here, but I believe the reasoning is due to like viewership retention or something like that, and people want to see best of ones, and the viewers aren't as interested in best of threes or something like that. I'm paraphrasing it. That's not like a word for word. Whereas in other regions, let's say LCK, it'd be a fucking joke if it was best of one. I think the fans would hate that. They're like, well, this isn't competitive at all, right? And that's just got a different market. It can't be a one size fits all. And I think the biggest issue, one of the issues I've had with the Overwatch League is that because it's so self-contained into like one league, it might as well just be one LCS. It's like Overwatch League for the longest time to me was just like LCS, but at 12 teams or at 1.20 teams, right? And they're all just NA teams. I mean, it says Seoul, and it says Shanghai. They're not in those time zones. They don't play in those countries. What connection do they have to those cities other than the fact that the name says so? And you have to like really. I'm being very curated with how I'm answering this in terms of what addressing some of the issues I have. I think it's not as easy as like, oh yeah, just expand forehead. Like you can't just do that. But in an ideal world, the interest is high. People do want to invest, and there is interest in more teams. Because by the way, I also don't have a problem with the franchise. I think franchising is at minimum an okay move, and at best, like actually a really good move. And for context, League of Legends is fully franchised in their regionalized leagues, and Valorant's probably heading in the same direction as well. So franchising is not an issue. League formats are not an issue. I think it's the execution of both of those things that is more of a make or break. And my dream scenario, which I think would be the healthiest for something like the Overwatch League, is you have Korea basically should have its own Overwatch League, in my opinion. You might as well have 10 Korean teams, 10 full Korean franchise teams that play in the Korean Overwatch League, and they have their own thing going on. If there's enough investment and interest, China could easily do that again themselves with 10. And then I don't know how maybe you put both EU and NA together into one, or maybe you separate this. I don't know what the interest is like and the investment levels are like, and maybe if there was enough interest, you could do a separate NA and EU league, or if you don't, you could just do a Western league. My point is that like I think I'm also a big proponent of just kind of not trying to change the wheel or reinvent the wheel rather. I mean, I think there's a blueprint. There's something that exists in the world that you can look at and be like, this is actually pretty good, and this definitely works. That we really need to move that far away from it. Like, can we just do the thing that works? That's my opinion. Maybe I'm generalizing too much and I make it sound like really easy. There's obviously, like as Yiska pointed, there's a lot of complexities in there, right? It's not as easy as just like just do these things and it'll just all just magically fall into place. Right. The whole city thing causes a lot of problems. And that's the thing is like, as much as I say it'd be cool to have a 10-team Korean Overwatch League only for, however many Korean teams, franchise teams. The problem with that is Seoul own the rights to the entirety of Korea. Right. People are like, why is there no Busan? Why is there no this or that? People, by the way, can't name a second city other than Busan in Korea, just so you're clear. Let me give you one, Incheon's one, so that you have that one for free. Kind of almost technically Seoul, though, because Incheon is like right. And anyway, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. So you can't even have a second Korean team. For those that have been wondering, well, where is the second Korean team? We should get a second Korean team. It was like, no, Seoul owned the rights to the whole thing. All of Korea. That's why you don't have a second team from Korea. So that would need to change, but then that changes the deal. I mean, if you're Gen G and you own the Seoul slot, you're not going to be happy with the fact that they've just pulled out 9 other slots for 9 other teams. Like, what the hell's that? You paid for exclusivity in Korea. You know, that's got to mean something. So the city-based thing complicates a lot, and I'm not 100% sold on the whole city-based thing. And I think there was a goal and a plan to make that into a real solid thing that COVID definitely caused issues in. But I still hold reservations that if we didn't have COVID, I mean, what does that look like? I mean, I still don't know. It's so hard to speculate. It's hard to criticize it because you could argue that we never got the chance to, but at the same time, like hypothetically, just thinking about it, like if you were to hypothesize how it would have gone, I still am not convinced that it would just be as good as doing a non-city-based franchise league the way League of Legends has with your own regionalized league. And then you could be smart and, you know, sell it differently and sell its own sponsorship and handle all differently, and for those leagues to be autonomous like it is in League of Legends. And just another fun fact, Riot also monetize and sell their playoffs, their entire Worlds thing, and the MSI as a separate thing. You don't get a package deal. You don't like sponsor LCS to automatically get Worlds. This is completely separate things. You want to sponsor Worlds, you negotiate a whole new deal for that. Far more expensive one, because that's where all the viewership is. Worlds is the biggest product of the year, probably in all of esports, if I'm going to be honest. Whereas like the YouTube deal is packaged for Contenders, Overwatch League, Call of Duty League, Hearthstone, literally every single Blizzard product. You just put it all into one umbrella. It's like, what? Maybe that was the only way. Because I mean, I don't know. Maybe that was the only way they could sell it. But it's just so different. Just such a different ball game.
For sure.
When you're getting a YouTube-ish kind of deal, except for every single different regionalized league, and then also your playoffs, and then also your mid-season playoffs as well, because they have 2 playoffs, and you've just you know, sextupled that shit in one go instead of just doing it overall one umbrella. I'm carried away on something that's like, I don't even know if it's fully relevant to what I'm talking about, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a bigger league, because I think 20 teams is a lot for one region, but it's not a lot for the entire world.
Sure. If
that makes sense. So you are looking at a situation where, like, if you just think the Overwatch League is one region, which functionally, it kind of feels that way. It kind of feels, especially if you look at the Season 2 model, 20 teams all in LA, and that's just one big league. It's just a 20-team league, right?
Yep. It's
not a global league. It's a lot for one region, but it's not if you're trying to do a global league. Don't call it a global league then. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a global league. Because if you look at it globally, and there's only 20 teams globally, that's small in comparison to other real global leagues where we're talking about like 50 franchise teams, more than double. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I am comparing League of Legends, and you kind of have to. You got if you want to be, you know, I think Overwatch should strive to be one of the big dogs. It was meant to be. I mean, this was meant to be the League of Legends killer. What happened to that? So you have to compare yourself to League of Legends. I'm sorry, that's the hard, cold truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got 20 teams compared to they got 10 per region, and China's got the LPL's got like 16 teams or something like that, and the biggest franchised esports league in the whole world across any game. The kind of money and viewership LPL gets is unbelievable. It dwarfs everything in esports. It's crazy. So yeah, on a global level, if we want to have a real global league, you need way more than 20 teams, because there's a lot of good players that actually do miss out. And worse still, beyond that, I don't want to shit on Tier 2, because I think, like, in some ways, Tier 2 can only do so much. But because there's such limited amount of teams, and just the 20 I'm talking about here, and Contenders is not super valuable, except as an incubator where, like, I guess I'm just waiting until I'm 18, or I just guess I'm just going to grind until someone gives me a shot, and then no one gives me a shot because there's only 20 teams. Contenders is not valuable enough to make a sustainable career out of, So what you find with a lot of players is because there's only 20 teams and half of them are Korean. If you're an NA player, you're like a Western player who only speaks English, you're fucked. Because there's only like very few spots, even on the mixed teams. You got very few spots. Like Dante's like the only Western player on his team on the Houston fucking Outlaws. And he's taking your one white guy slot. That's your one white guy slot gone. So, you know, you're not going on that team anymore. You know what I mean? Like if you're a Western player, your options are so limited. You don't want to just grind contenders because it's not going to give you a sustainable career. So you fuck off to Valorant or whatever other game. This is how it's been. You know, I think like if there were more opportunities and you had your own regionalized league, this is your NA league, then boom, now all the NA players have like way more opportunities. You'd have to just like grind out on contenders. Ideally, contenders is more valuable as well. But I don't know. That was a long answer. It's a complicated topic, and I'm speaking from a very more optimistic view of it, of like from ideals, rather than like this is what can happen right now. Because I don't think we can just expand right now in the current state. It really depends on what Overwatch 2 looks like and how the Overwatch League fits within that.
Where to find the bias in the first place, right? Like, it's probably not possible even if you wanted to.
You got more people looking to sell than buy. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
As it stands, obviously Overwatch 2 is the could be the great equalizer in that, but that remains to be seen. Staying with Mr. Avo for a moment, here's a little fun one. Always, you're going to take you back to the history books as well. I know we lambasted Yiska, but here's your turn. Get off the fence. Who is your Mr. Irrelevant? Who is the most milquetoast bench player in Overwatch League history? Most forgettable.
I mean, by definition, whoever you say cannot be it, right?
Because you remember them.
Yeah. That's why I'm a cheat and just go through rosters.
It's got to be somebody.
I was going to say Avast, but that's just not true because he's the most memorable bench player of all time. So that's basically the opposite. So it can't be him. It's got to be one of the Philly players that just never did anything, you know, like a Dayfly Joe Meister type.
True. Yeah, I constantly forget Dayflies was in the league at one point.
You got to look on season 1 when everybody had nearly full maxed out player rosters,
right?
And obviously, when you have a 12-man roster or an 11-man roster, there's going to be some real benches on there. IDD Cutie is a really great one for that as well. Super forgettable. Shouldn't have been, but was because he played one map. He was memorable because he played one map and had an infinite KD ratio. So in a way, he was super memorable.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Could be any of the Shanghai players, even though I think they all got some playtime. Though Verbo's pretty forgettable, to be honest. Most people forget Verbo.
No, you always remember Verbo because of his tattoo. That kid's got a tattoo. And it's poggers.
I was going to say iRemix, but he actually started for a while, I think.
Yeah.
He started.
He was doing better in scrims over Fissure, and that's why he was playing in the playoffs. Nothing to see here, folks.
Are you sure? Wait, you're joking?
No.
Oh.
I think that was like the public statement.
That's not what happened internally.
No, of course not.
Fisher didn't want to play. Oh, Fisher self-benched.
Yeah.
Fisher did a me no likey Western player thingy.
I'm not playing. Goodbye. Anybody catch your fancy, boys? Eric said Gary. That's a good one.
Gary is a good one. What about Sharik?
Oh,
I don't even know who that is. I think that's the answer. I don't even know who Sharik is. There it is.
Former main tank player for the Toronto Defiant.
No clue. No clue.
Little Western pivot.
Yes.
That was rough.
But there gotta be better ones or other ones.
I think it's Sharik. I promise you, it's Sharik. I promise you, Sharik.
I mean, I feel like Persia is pretty good.
The reason why is you say Shriek, and my response is not even like, oh yeah, that guy. No, I didn't even have that response. I'm like, oh, I legitimately just don't know.
Yeah.
That's how. That's
just forgotten. Yeah.
So factually, that's the correct answer.
I
I
feel like
think most of the players, I'd be like, well, yeah, I do remember him, but yeah, no, I don't know who Shriek is.
What about like Danye or Gray?
I remember Danye. I remember Gray.
Okay.
I don't remember Shriek. And I would not have known him had you not brought him up.
Keanu.
Oh, people.
Yeah, then it's getting harder. I think like Shriek might then just like in our cycle might be.
It is the correct answer.
People remember mistakes, I think.
Yeah, people remember mistakes. Come on.
I do feel I have a hard time remembering Zuppe.
Just because all the Z names on that old Forerunner.
I remember he existed.
Yeah.
Yes.
He can't tell you he can't. Yeah.
That's the fucking bar we're working with. I remember Zuppe existed.
Yeah.
Here's another player I don't remember existed. Zik.
Oh,
true. Yeah.
French guy? Is that?
I don't know where he's from. I don't know where. French guy.
French play for Toronto.
Zik and Shriek equal parts. My answer.
What about Toronto players?
What about Doc?
We can share them. You can have one of them. I'll have the other one.
What about Doc? Do you know who Doc is?
That DHAK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a starter on Shock.
Okay.
He got hit. He got hit by a car on Mercy.
By definition, you can't even say Dak. He's a starter.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers Dak.
His Lucio's kind of cracked.
He was a big personality on the Shock. He was full season 1 early Shock was like all Dak time the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Might be Shriek. I don't. As much as it sucks, because I remember, like, I think he was a really nice guy and also had like coaching chops, if I'm not mistaken. Not 100% on it, but like, yeah.
It's not his fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. I don't remember him, so I'm not trying to shit on this guy. I'm sure he's brilliant, but I just don't remember him. I'm sure I'm sure he's cool though.
Eric does bring up a good point. Last episode, we did forget agilities during our season 1 Valiant roster recall.
Agilities is not a forgettable player. Everyone remembers Agilities. He's one of the most famous players just from In and Out alone. That alone, like, is
apparently also very popular in China. I've heard. Like just a.
So is Only God. What's the demographic correlation between Only God and agilities? If you were to do a Venn diagram, what would be in the middle? You can start figuring out why they might be popular.
Okay, I gotta ask like this. Okay, who was the backup main tank of the Dallas Fuel in season 2? Ah, god damn it! Yeah, of course you're Australian. Like that's why I had to. But I feel like to the general population, Trill would probably also be pretty forgettable. I would think.
Yeah, not to me though, because I got history. But
yeah, Rise probably like 1J Lee because never played really.
Never played, yeah.
Dude, Revenge is also like just something that.
No, I remember him. I remember Revenge because he played in Contenders and on Runaway. I know that's how I know him.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Highly is also
just say Shriek. No, I remember Highly. No, I remember Highly.
Shriek's up there. It's a good one.
It's Shriek. It's Shriek.
Yeah.
You can stop now. It's Shriek. Or Zik. Shriek or Zik.
All right.
Mickey.
One last one, Yiska?
Mickey?
No, Mickey. What?
One of the most popular players of all time?
No, the other Mickey.
Huh? Is there another Mickey?
Oh, we got one.
There wasn't. There was another Mickey?
No, there wasn't. You're fucking shitting me.
No, there was one.
A
main tank from the Boston Uprising.
What year? What year?
What?
That's Mikey.
Oh, Mikey? Okay, that's...
Bro, if you said Mikey, you'll be like, yeah, I remember Mikey. You fucking said his name wrong.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Fucking hell.
I mean, but that sort of contributes towards, like...
I remember Mikey. Fuck's sake. You baited me. You said...
sorry, yeah.
I'm like, there's been a second Mickey. You just said his name wrong.
All right, Yiska.
Yes.
We're coming back to you.
Mm-hmm.
I know we kind of briefly touched on this a couple episodes back, but we're going to revisit it because I think it's kind of interesting. And I want to see if anybody's answers change. Get off the fence. If Patafan doesn't challenge proper for Rookie of the Year, then who does?
See, I would have said a Predator.
Okay.
But it's probably Ultraviolet.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's my lukewarm take on that. But I also don't think anyone challenges proper, so that's
fair enough.
You can play for the golden pineapple, is what we call it in German.
AVRL, if not Patty, then who? Anybody on your short list?
Shortest list in the history of short lists. It's literally one person. That's how short the list is.
True. We know they're not. We know that proper is going to be Rookie of the Year, but
in context, I don't even think Patty challenges him.
Okay.
Let's just start there. Let's just start with Patty doesn't even challenge him, and then we can go from there. But
right, sure. I agree.
I mean, I think Alpha Yi is good, but we'll see how his team does. I think MN3 is good, but we'll see how his team does. I mean, I can't even say a Predator because he's not even signed. He's not even there, so
yeah.
Can't even say that. Let's just say Chorong. Chorong challenges proper.
Okay.
He does get paid more than him, so I mean, he's already won, actually. If you're Chorong, you've actually already beat proper.
Who needs Rookie of the Year? Got the bag.
Can you be Rookie of the Year in that position?
No.
No. Absolutely not. No way.
Yeah. I feel like the entire setup also of Toronto is just like, nah, you're down bad, dude. It's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't know.
The amount of tissues I've used, it looks like I'm down bad as well. All right.
Oh, wait. I think one name needs to be... It's not going to be, right? But who? Stalker has to be a name mentioned, right?
No. He's not even going to play.
Yeah,
he's not even going to play.
It's likely that he might not.
Yeah.
Profits will play the whole time, I promise you.
Yeah.
Unless Profit falls off hard or Fitz falls off hard, there's no way.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard, man. Like, is there anyone on Shanghai that could just like bench Flatter? It's a rookie? No.
They don't even have a rookie.
Yeah, they don't.
Who are you is technically not a rookie. My guy's an Overwatch League champion, technically.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Fair play. There's nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Proper's just that good.
Yeah, I mean, Proper is fucking nutcase. Probably not going to happen.
Fair enough. We're gonna end.
Oh. There's not even a free agent on the market. Like, oh man, this guy could challenge Proper. He just hasn't been picked up yet.
Yeah.
But don't say speedily. He's not even 18. And no, even if he was here, he wouldn't. That's my take. Not a hot one, just a normal take there. I'd put that one at a cool room temperature take. Right? Not a cold take, not a hot one, just room temperature. But he's not old enough, so it doesn't count. There's not another eligible free agent rookie that could anyway. So currently there are none, and also even in the free market there is none. So there just is none. There just isn't one.
All right, AVRL, we're gonna stay with you for the last question, from our lovely patron and producer, Bronze Bob Buhau. To AVRL first, get off the fence. Does the world need to know if Kellan is flexible enough to be New York's only rumored tank? Would they be better served adding a complementary tank, or is the quote the rule of one ironclad? Looks like we're going with 2 flex supports and could struggle if Lucio is uber meta. Any thoughts there?
I think every team should get 2 tanks, 1 main tank, 1 off tank, just to be safe. And I think a lot of teams are holding out just to see how the game looks and how they're going to do before they make that decision. So Kellan being rumored that's not even the only player, assuming that rumor is definitely true. You got Smurf and Super, who are the only tanks on their respective teams of Soul and Shock, you know. There's plenty of teams that are just kind of banking on their one tank for now and just seeing where the wind blows before Chengdu's another one. Gaga's the only tank. Before they make any further decisions, they just want to kind of chill on that. I think Kellan is going to be a great addition, and he's definitely my number one tank rookie prospect coming in. No, not good enough to dethrone proper, but very good. My number one tank prospect coming in. But every single main tank is going to struggle with their hero pool, and every single off tank is going to struggle with their hero pool. So the only way you can really, quote unquote, fix that is by having two players. Is the safest thing to do. Now, rule of one, I think eventually you do want to just kind of permabench one of them and only play the other one, because you don't want to be changing up too much in your team.
Sure.
Unless you really know what you're doing, but most teams probably don't, so you just want to stick to one guy. You will, down the line, just be playing on one, but until you know what you're doing, it's safer to have two.
Fair play. Yiska? Kellan?
I'll be straight up. I don't know enough about the kids to have a good opinion on this. I think generally speaking, you probably don't want to just have one tank player. It's just too much of a gamble in Overwatch 2. So I would always have a backup or have someone to be signed backed up, maybe on my academy team if I had one. Or would develop relationships very early to say, like, if shit doesn't work out, we might sign you. So just like keep people warm, like a lot of Overwatch teams are constantly doing. Yeah, that's as much as I can contribute.
True. I love Eric's input here. I think he's had absolute bangers this episode. He says, in response to the question, Bronze Babu How, just so you know, this is the franchise that brought you such hits as Jonas and Yakpung back-to-back years. So, hopefully Kellan can break that curse.
That's why they're like, fuck it, we're gonna get the number one main tank prospect. We're done with this. We don't want to. We're not doing this again. We got to get the guy. We will get the guy. So there it is.
Man. I do want to give a brief mention to somebody who did submit a question, but I think I'm going to pin for a rainy day. Ashador, I do have your question. We will be answering it in a future episode. It is just slightly too big for
today.
An entire get off the fence. I think we're probably going to have to integrate that into its own kind of concept. I do like it, though. We will be answering it. And if you, like Ashador, want your question answered, you just have to subscribe to our Patreon. It can be $1. It can be $25. I don't know how high it goes. I didn't set it. But if you want to support the show, you can go over to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. And if you become a patron and support the show, we will love you forever and we'll answer your question. You just have to submit it through Discord or add us on Twitter, and we will collect that and try to get you your question answered in a timely fashion. And that's been your fence sitting for the week. Tune in next week for some more fence sitting. Back to you, Avril.
All right, thank you, Joe. Reporting live from I don't know where you are in America, but somewhere in America. As
pretty damn close.
From 8 Mile. Reporting live from the 8 Mile. Everybody in the 404 not found, put your motherfucking hands up.
Close.
3-1-3. 3-1, there it is. 3-1. It wasn't that close.
I mean, you're like one or two digits off.
I'm one digit off the entire way through. That's correct. So maybe it was close.
Pretty close.
All right, how do we fill for the next hour to make 3?
Please, God, put me out of my misery.
I do want to say we did somehow still go over 2.
Yeah.
So this is going to be our shortest episode for quite a lot of episodes, actually.
Yeah.
You might make upload time.
We might. Wow. We might not be late today. Who knows?
Let us know in the comments if we made the upload time. All right. Hopefully next week we'll actually get some good roster news because somebody's got to announce. Please, dear God, somebody has to.
Maybe
announce
some Overwatch
something.
2 news. Something. please.
There's no way. How long a team's going to hold on to these rosters?
I know.
Without announcing, like
y'all better have some like.
You've already locked it in. What are you waiting for? They're waiting probably for their social team to do all the stuff. But once that's done, what are you waiting for? Right?
What's more obnoxious? Blizzard holding out on us, and the content creators, or the teams?
I mean,
deal or no deal. That will be the deal or no deal question for.
I don't mind either way. I'm really indifferent. I don't really care about when I get information, man.
Tell us who. All right.
Right.
Sign off time. All right. Thank you guys so much. Episode 208. That and Dusted. We'll be back next week, hopefully with more like some real crunchy Overwatch stuff to talk about. Thanks again for joining in. First episode of the year. Great to kick it off. Let's make the second episode of the year even better. See you next time.
Peace.